MinistryMonkey.com. It's, what is it again? It's a jungle out there. We gotta redo this one.
Trust the monkey.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Life in Student Ministry video post. My name is Tim Schmoyer and I'm hanging out with Tom, who is the youth guy at New Hope Community Church.
Correct, in Loudonville, Ohio.
Yep, here in Ohio. And this guy has been in ministry for what, 30 years? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Youth ministry?
30 years, yeah. My mom wouldn't want me to say that because she doesn't have a son the same age.
Okay, that is incredible. 30 years, that's longer than I've bing alive. So
that's humbling.
I need to learn from guys like this, and most of us, you guys are watching this, probably you also. So we're going to talk about longevity in youth ministry and how to stay in this for the long haul. What are some of the key things that youth leaders need to know about how, if we're going to stay in this youth ministry long term, God has called us to do this, but yeah, there's always different things that usually stop us. What are some of the key things that youth leaders need to look out for?
Don't take yourself seriously.
Okay.
I mean, you just get so wrapped up in the details, like watching even coming from the conference today, Doug talking about, you just got to understand your role with your heart and your relationship with God first, and then things sort of fall from that. And that's so hard to learn because you think it is about you, and you think it is about the numbers, and you think it is about the program, but it's not about that. It's about you being transparent. You're really about being in relationship with other adults, and really, for me, I think the secret is student ministry is as much about adult ministry and speaking in the lives of those that are willing to help other adults, help them see they have something to offer students, because otherwise I've limited myself in the impact.
So some of those roadblocks, one is taking yourself too seriously. What was another common roadblock that you see in youth workers who want to be, we all start in it wanting to go forever,
Right, they also think it's about money. And if you just had the pop and the wow and the sizzle for the new LED lights, or the
sizzle?
Yeah, the sizzle, exactly. And it's not about that. In fact, Craig Rochelle says, that God's given you exactly the amount of money you need to do ministry. I think he's right. And I'm learning that in our context, because where we are, just up the road about an hour, we've had some significant impacts from the economy, and so we're trying to figure it out. And you know what? Some great things are happening just because we're thinking in a more creative way. Yeah. So you have to be willing to think outside the box, not think about the fizzle and the pop and the sizzle. Yeah, and it's just because it's not about that. Even though we want it to be about that, and we're sitting in a mall that's all about the fizzle and the
bling bling.
Bling bling. Exactly.
I should have a gold chain and just be a white
Don't
rapper.
You have one?
No. So taking yourself too seriously, focusing on money and some things. Maybe one other thing that maybe is kind of usually a roadblock, a tripping point that youth leaders would kind of make them stumble out of ministry.
Well, I think it's about your relationship with Jesus too, and it's that idea that it's really about your time away and being more deliberate. I mean, for me, for really being in vocational ministry right now, I'm in a place where they require me to take a day off, and I'm supposed to be unplugged from the matrix, and that's humbling because it's about my connecting. So
what about a relationship with the senior pastor? How important is that for?
He needs to know what you're doing. So there needs to be that. In fact, there's a couple of good things that you just recently put out on that, and I think one aspect is to be in contact with them. So don't make them come looking for you. You go looking for them, pop by the office, maybe even pick up a Starbucks or something and drop it off on the desk just to be kind.
Yeah, it seems to me when I talk with youth leaders that it's that relationship with the senior pastor seems to be real key. And,
it's huge.
And how long they'll stay, maybe not in ministry in general, but their longevity at a particular location, at a certain church or ministry, and that it just seems that that relationship is just so key. So do you mind sharing a little bit about your relationship with your senior pastor and what that looks like and how it works?
Actually, it's transitioning because our lead guy, Charles Hill, just transitioning out to plant new churches out on the West Coast, the Utah area. But he's actually about your age, so for him to invest in someone like me at his age, I mean, it's backwards.
Yeah.
But I've really...
It's kind of intimidating.
It is, in one sense, but I've really appreciated how he has spoken into my life to say, hey, even at this point in your journey, there's a lot of wisdom that you have to offer to the conversation. So being deliberate, for him and I, it was every Friday, Taco Bell. I mean, he was doing his planning for the weekend in terms of teaching, and we would try to meet up for lunch and just talk about life and try to encourage him and, helping him through since I've raised a few children. We're almost got our last one out of the house now, how that changes.
Wow. How about the relationship with your spouse? How big is that?
That's huge. Your spouse has to be your best champion. My wife Melinda is she's the light of my life. Everything I try to do is focused around her. She gives me incredible energy to step out and do these things when she's at home, doing her thing. Although she's vocationally oriented also, but she is just my biggest cheerleader, and I have to be hers in every time. So she's my best friend, and of course we started dating when we were in kindergarten, literally.
Really?
So it's one of those strange, odd sort of
robbing the cradle, almost.
It
literally.
was, yeah. Melinda's an amazing woman.
Cool.
I don't deserve her. Has made me a better man because of our friendship and relationship. Yeah.
My wife is a hot mom, so what now?
Yeah.
What are the things that you've said have been most key in keeping you in ministry this long for 30 years? That's amazing. What has kept you in it and going and driving and thriving in the ministry that God's called you to?
It's just realizing that I have a place in the story, and even when I don't think I do, that I do, and I have to continue to push through that. Like really buying into the idea that there's something larger at work. Greg Steer shared this morning this quote from Baxter about how, when you start pushing against the kingdoms, sort of a paraphrase, that Satan's going to start pushing back. And so in those moments, for me, it's been when I start turning that in a negative way, it's like, no, God has called you this. He knows what you need. He's placed you in this relationship.
Yeah.
He's really put you in a place to connect with others. And so don't not do that, whether it's with adults or students, to do it together and to do it with a sense of charity. And again, not taking yourself too seriously.
Yeah. So, chances are there's someone watching this video who is a youth worker and feeling like, I just don't know if I can go on. There's like all these pressures and all these expectations, and they don't feel like they're connecting well with their senior pastor or maybe even the kids or whatever, and they're just ready to give up, move on, and call the whole youth ministry thing quits. What advice, encouragement would you have, being the long-term guy, for someone like that who's watching this?
I would really say don't give up. That God knows where you're at. It's just whether it's about the money or it's about the program or really about your heart, and to push through that. And it's that fear that's there to not push through it. It's like jumping off the cliff. If you're rappelling, that first step off is difficult, but there's a harness and there's a rope that's going to hold you, and the rest is the journey that God wants you to be on, and it's about being faithful to that call,
Right.
leaving her and actually risking. And when we fail to risk, then we fail to see God show up.
Yeah. Would there be any situations that you would say are legitimate ones to fall out, to step away from ministry?
I think there's a season, and I think that has to be discerned out through Scripture and through whoever you're walking with to encourage you. But there could be moments, but for the most part, it's about being faithful to the call, and I just really think you have to continue to push through.
Well, I appreciate your help, Tom, and your advice and your wisdom. And if someone here would like to talk with you more about this and get advice, and then how would they go about getting in touch with you?
Well, there's Twitter. samgamgee on Twitter. There's Tom at newhopewired.tv.
Okay.
There is my blog, samgamgee.org.
Okay.
And it's about being faithful.
Can you spell that for them?
Yeah, samgamgee.org. Samwise is sort of my alter ego.
Okay.
Because of his faithfulness in the story of walking with Frodo.
Cool.
So.
Well, if you guys have more questions or anything for Tom, please feel free to contact him.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he'd love to work with you. And also, if you have anything you would post in the comments below here, this video, we'd love to interact with you there, or even ministryquestions.com. Tom's pretty active there. So if you have a question you'd like for anybody, you can post it there as well. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Look forward to seeing you again next week for another Licensed Student Ministry post. See ya.
Thanks for your heart.